What is the disposition, the attitude of the ordinary Russian to the special military operation? Russians, as a rule, read. It breaks my heart that our people, I'm talking about conservatives, read so little. These people, not to say that they're not conservative, but they read. As one guy said to me, it's not quite as it was. He said, but there was a time when Russian plumbers were reading Lermontov and what's the Spanish, Don Quixote, which is arguably, it's believed by many, to be the greatest novel written in any language. So these people are informed, and they are I don't want to say solidly behind the SMO, because I've met quite a few people who deeply regret it. So much so that they, you just cross here, you don't say please, you don't say thank you, you don't wait for a gap in the traffic, you just walk. And the cars must stop. Boom. I kept on thanking them. So he said to me, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm just as a courtesy thanking the driver for stopping and not driving right over me. And he said to me, don't be ridiculous, it's the law. He's not doing you a favor. It's either that or go to jail. That's our law, that's our way. Don't start a blooming thank you thing. These people, these drivers will think that you owe them something. Hello, 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 hello. As I've mentioned elsewhere, I was at a dinner party, a braai, a double braai. A braai at 6 p.m. and then again at 11 for me. And of the 11 adults there, remove me, of the 10 Russian adults. And in fact, you know what, I'm going to include, there was a younger girl there in her early 20s. So 11 Russian adults, I made the 12th adult. 8, unless I'm very much mistaken, are opposed to the SMO. But when I discussed it with one of them, I said, what's the alternative? Given factors A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. He said to me, no, we all get that, or they get it. Those who were opposed, who are opposed. It's just that they don't want to be at war. He said it's a feminine impulse. That was his expression. It's just a feminine impulse. War is ugly. Never mind that you've got to break an egg to make an omelette, or in this case you've got to crack some skulls to put an end to NATO's chemical and biological laboratories on Russia's borders, and to the expansion of NATO, and to intercontinental ballistic missiles being placed on Ukrainian soil directed at Russia. He said they know all of that, but they expect Uncle Vladimir to make magic, to both not go to war and not have the NATO provocations, which, as we've discussed elsewhere, are solely intended to precipitate a conflict, an eschatological conflict, an end times conflict that results in the breaking up of Russia, for it to be distributed to certain interested parties for the last epoch of this creation. Now again, I'm going to tell you something that you don't have to believe in. It makes no difference whether you and I believe in it. As I've said before, one night, my dog, Judith, woke me up to be put outside so she could do her toilet. And I was furious with her because she'd done something the previous day that was, I can't remember what it was. So I just turned over and went back to sleep. So she went into my office, which has, believe it or not, AstroTurf as its carpeting. You've got to see it to appreciate it. It really does work quite nicely. AstroTurf obviously resembles grass, and so she did her business there. It didn't matter that I felt that she could hang on for another couple of hours. Similarly, it doesn't matter whether you or I believe that chapter 112 of the 17th book of Habadudia, or whatever abstruse source you wish to use as a reference, means that the Lord looks at it this way or that way or the other way, or that this is Judah and that is Benjamin and that is Israel, and that in deeply Luciferian esoteric circles, the belief is that there have been multiple creations, and that this creation, the one that we're in, shall last for 6,000 years before a 1,000-year sabbatical. And during those 6,000 years, that week of years, there are 28 seasons as defined by chapter 3 of the book of Ecclesiastes, and that we are a year and a little bit, a year and 3 months away from the end of the 27th season, meaning that there will be after that, so in a year and 3 months time, begins a 214.28 year period of peace, during which they, the Luciferians, will not be able to make war. Therefore, this is their last chance to obtain for themselves something that they've wanted for a long time, and that is the destruction of Russians, block your ears so that you don't have to hear me pronounce this word. Kategen, 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 kategen. The kategen against the Antichrist, Christ. The last bulwark, the country, never mind that it was Soviet, just please be a little bit patient, that was called upon to save the world from as they would put it, the Freemasonry of Nazism, or the world rule by Masonry. Likewise, the last bulwark, of whom it was demanded to save the world from Napoleon. And prior to that, Barbarossa, the red-bearded Prussian emperor. Russians are not keen on this war. But at some reluctant level, I was just staring at a little boy riding past on his bicycle. He had a very interesting face, very good looking, very handsome, with enormous eyes. Goodness me, I think those are proportionately the biggest eyes that I've ever seen in person, other than in a movie or something. Wow, strikingly handsome fellow. By and large, Russian men are nothing to write home about. They're not handsome creatures. Their women, on the other hand, and it just never ends. Just doesn't end. And there are millions of them. There are a lot of. I say this now deliberately because I'm conscious of the for want of a better word, you're meant to walk on the right hand side. Everybody in Russia walks on the right hand side. It's so orderly. You never have any chaos in the shopping center, in the little shop, on the pavement, down the passage of the hotel. You keep to the right. Anyway, I've gone over to the far left, firstly to get 3 meters away from the traffic, and secondly because there's sand underfoot, and so it's like beach sand, and so I can walk a little bit more comfortably. My legs are shot from all the walking I've been doing. 3 days ago, a guy, Yevgeny, a good guy, but in this story not such a good guy, caused me to walk 14 kilometers in one day. I haven't walked 14 kilometers since I was 20. Anyway, back to the tale. This is a letters from Russia. We're not under an obligation to be short, sharp, and to the point. We're telling a story with its twists and its turns and its subplots and its excursions into different themes. The people, I was saying about the girls, there are millions of them. The incel problem that we have in the West, everybody knows about it. So if you're a young, healthy, fit male, you could do worse than find a Russian girl for a pen pal. And they tend to be conservative. Not all of them. That Western thing is creeping in, but so far so good. It hasn't penetrated very deeply yet. I'm just outside the hotel, the Meridian Hotel. So back to the point. Russians are not crazy about this war. However, and they keep on. They'll come up to you out of the blue and say, Russians are actually a peaceful people. And you and I would be, I mean, the prosperity here is unbelievable, and they are just 2 decades away from the 90s were cruel to Russia, and that came on top of the previous 70 years of viciousness against Russians. And now they're like pigs in clover. They don't want to lose that. They don't want war. They wish that Uncle Vladimir would just make magic. No war, and also no NATO encroachment. Yeah, they're not keen on this war. Having said that, I should also point out that it's a bit of a paradox, their disposition, or at least a dichotomy. If it's not a paradox, that is to say something like self-contradictory, then it is a thing in two distinct parts. Their disposition is a dichotomy. They are behind Uncle Vlad all the way. Against the war. Wish he'd never done it. But as long as he is doing it, I'm going to moan and complain and wish it was otherwise. But when all is said and done, I'm a patriot. And that's why I think it was that the foundation, I want to say the Hoover Institute, but I think I'm very much mistaken in picking on the Hoover Institute, but a US foundation conducted a survey here in anticipation of the elections of last year. And the day before the elections, they revealed the results of their surveys and research and what have you, and said that Putin would win with 88% of the vote. Lo and behold, the next day he got 87% of the vote. So all sides agree. Everybody is behind Uncle Vlad. That is what the Russians feel about the war. They wish it wasn't so, and they dread losing this. The prosperity here has to be seen to be believed. But when all is said and done, they know whose team they're on.